A political controversy engulfing the Prime Minister's office has put SNC-Lavalin under renewed scrutiny. Jody Wilson-Raybould stepped down from Justin Trudeau's cabinet after a Globe and Mail report alleged the Prime Minister's office pressured her to intervene in the company's criminal case. SNC-Lavalin is charged with corruption and bribery in one of several cases of alleged illegal behavior. The CBC's Dave Seglins has been investigating the company's record since 2012, and he joins us now from Toronto. Hey, Dave, thanks for being with us.
Hi there.
So when did it first emerge that SNC-Lavalin might be involved in some business that wasn't above the fray?
It was actually the end of 2011. People may remember there was a war in Libya. Libya was a place that SNC-Lavalin was doing a ton of business, huge mega project, billions of dollars worth. But right at the end of 2011, there was this bizarre story about a Canadian woman who was arrested in, of all places, Mexico. And the allegation was that she was part of some sort of conspiracy to smuggle a member of the Gaddafi regime, the Gaddafi family. Muammar Gaddafi had several sons. One of the sons was allegedly going to be smuggled out of Libya to a life in hiding in Mexico with the help of Cindy Vanier, this Canadian woman. We started looking into it, spoke to her family here in Canada, did a couple of stories on it. Well, we were contacted by an anonymous email source who sent us this bizarre letter. It was a weekend, I can remember clearly, January 2012, sent us this email saying, I'm a senior person in the high ranks of SNC-Lavalin, and I can tell you that we have corrupt senior executives who are paying bribes and helping funnel hundreds of millions of dollars out of Libya into Swiss bank accounts. And we're reading this going, what the heck? And in this email, it says, if you would like to know more, tomorrow you will be on a ski hill in Quebec at the midway station of such and such a ski hill, and you will be prepared to ski. And you will meet a man in a spider jacket of a particular color, and you will come and you will learn more. And we're thinking, what the heck is with this? So we jumped on a plane, jumped in a rental car from Ontario, and then we get on skis, and sure enough, we meet the first of several SNC high-level executives who started recounting tales and allegations of the business in Libya. And flash forward, as we started reporting on some of these in this internal whistleblower letter that was circulating within the company, it all came out. Libya, one of the executive vice president of the construction arm of the company that did all sorts of work both in Canada but also across North Africa, was arrested, charged, and pleaded guilty to bribery to the tune of $40 million, defrauding the Libyan people of $130 million. So the basic allegations is that SNC-Lavalin, dating back years, was paying huge bribes to secure these billions of dollars worth of contracts with the dictatorship of Muammar Gaddafi. There was a guilty plea in Switzerland by this one senior executive. In 2015, the RCMP here at home has charged the company, and that is the huge criminal case that is currently before the courts that SNC is trying to get out of with a deferred prosecution agreement.
And it's not just, those allegations, those types, in this case it's centered on Libya, but there's allegations elsewhere. For example, what happened in Bangladesh?
Right. So there are pockets around the world where we conducted investigations. Bangladesh had the Padma Bridge. It was a massive $3 billion World Bank project funded by the World Bank. Huge infrastructure. SNC was in the bidding. Allegations surfaced that they were trying to rig the bid. Part of SNC-Lavalin's international arm were accused of trying to go and pay off officials to rig the bidding so they would win that contract. The World Bank intervened, determined that this had gone on, and banished SNC-Lavalin from bidding on these kinds of World Bank contracts for 10 years. Now, there was a prosecution back here in Canada. A number of officials, low-level and some high-ranking ones, but ultimately the charges were withdrawn or evidence was discounted due to legal errors and problems with how RCMP secured some of the evidence. So there haven't been convictions here, but SNC was barred from bidding on international World Bank projects for a decade.
What about the way it works here at home?
So, two projects to tell you about. Lots of people have heard about the mega hospital in Montreal. We know of the case. There were irregular payments to the tune of $44 million. We've had guilty pleas of breach of trust by the former CEO, Pierre Duhem, as well as the construction chief, Riyad Benessa, a guilty plea there to one count of forgery. There was another accused in that Montreal hospital case. That was Arthur Porter. People may remember him. He was a very colorful character from the Bahamas, a cancer specialist who came to head the Montreal hospital and the project. He was accused of taking $22 million for awarding SNC the contract. He fled the country, wound up detained and then imprisoned in Panama, where he spent 2 years fighting extradition back to Canada. And in fact, we went down and visited him in the prison there. He wound up dying there of cancer a couple of years ago. So that's one Canadian example. The other one is a bridge contract in Montreal, the Jacques Cartier Bridge. A former senior advisor to Jean Chrétien, his chief of staff back in the early 90s, was appointed to the Federal Bridge Commission. Michel Fournier, he's serving 5 years in prison for accepting $2.3 million through Swiss bank accounts, allegedly for granting SNC-Lavalin the contract to revamp the Jacques Cartier Bridge in Montreal.
Okay, then I have to get your take, because what a large part of this discussion so far from the political perspective has been about the DPA, this sort of plea bargain that they want to have the government agree to. A lot of what I've read is that, okay, they will prove that the company no longer exists in the way it used to, and those kinds of issues that you've just illuminated us on are rooted out. Do you buy that?
Well, so I don't know where I land on this, and as a journalist, I'm not supposed to have an opinion. What I do know is that if there's a guilty conviction on SNC's record, they are barred from bidding on Canadian government contracts for a decade. Now, over 2005 to 2015, we determined there was about $5 billion worth of business. So if SNC is shut out of that, it will be hugely damaging to the 9,000 employees, the pensioners, the investors, all of the people who rely on that company. On the other hand, how do we keep a company honest? I mean, there's been lots of internal controls, changeover in the senior leadership that have been brought in since some of these things were brought to light. But what does it say to other companies that have been playing by the rules internationally, that don't pay bribes to get work? What is the standard of justice? I don't know, but SNC is so huge. The question for everybody, I think, is it too big to fail? Should it be allowed this prosecutorial agreement without entering a guilty conviction, as they've done in places like the UK and the US?
All right. Thank you so much, Dave. The CBC's Dave Seglin's in Toronto.